Hi guys! I was just wanting to go live with you today and have a little chat. This is the first time I've tried this, so please be patient with me if something doesn't work, like the audio or the video. Let me just see if I can gather if anybody can hear me. Won't be long. Okay, if you can give me a thumbs up if you can hear me, that would be great. Alright, so I'm just going to get started and hopefully this works. If it doesn't work, I'll just film it again. So, alright, so I thought I'd just go through a few Q&As about the questions I get regularly doing bit fitting and equine myofunctional therapy, which is basically massage therapy for horses, but it's a bit more complicated than that. So it's learning about the massage techniques as well as I've learned about the conformation, how that affects the horse, their work, and also basically their body and how that works and how that's impacted by massage, the different muscles, and that helps to know when and how to apply those techniques. So just so you know, I call it equine massage so people know what I'm talking about, but the proper term is equine myofunctional therapy. So let's get started. So one of the most common questions that I get, and is certainly one that I would have asked myself, is if my horse is tight in the back, will EMT help? So sometimes it can be the rider's been riding and they feel like the horse is rigid through their back. They're not really giving up, they're not really flowing through the back, or when they touch the back they're showing a pain response, so the horse might dip away, or it might even show some aggression or try to avoid the person when they touch the back. So they're probably common ways that you might know that the horse's back is tight. Of course, as well, when you physically feel the back, it may be tight as in the back isn't able to be palpated, or the skin doesn't move easily, the muscle doesn't move easily underneath. So just like us, horses can suffer from sore or tight back muscles. They are athletes like we are, and so they can have issues in terms of exercise. So if they've recently increased in exercise or had a hard workout, they can have back pain from that. Common in terms of muscle fatigue and soreness. Any back pain that lasts more than a day or two is recurrent, is where you probably need to get some help with that. So we'll do a bit of investigation. So common reasons for this can be due to muscle fatigue or strain from work, like I just said, poor saddle fit and poor posture. So massage is important. It can actually be a really great place to start if you think your horse is got some tightness in their back or some pain. I emphasize that it should be with a qualified professional. When it's done correctly and empathetically to what the horse is displaying in terms of how the muscle health is and how what behaviours they're displaying, massage can help to relieve the back pain. What massage does in terms of back pain is it corrects the damaged muscles, it releases the adhesions and the spasm muscles. So sometimes when you feel that your horse might have back pain, you actually will notice that the muscle is spasming, so it's very tight and it almost looks like it's shimmering across the back, and that's a surefire sign there's something going on there. So basically what happens at our massage and why it's important to make sure that you have a qualified professional to do it is that that massage therapist knows how to understand the physiology, the conformation, the behaviour and the actions of how the muscles work in order to know when and how to apply different massage techniques, especially to a back that is displaying as being in pain or in spasm. As you would appreciate, having back pain can be very painful as it is for us, and therefore making sure you have the right person to help the horse is really important. So when I'm massaging, often people will book a horse in saying it has back pain, or they think it's sore in the back or tight in the back. But because when I massage, I work from the pole, so behind the ears, to the tail on each side, that often I find that when I'm massaging, sometimes you might find that the back actually, by the time you get to the back, it's actually the pain symptoms or displaying behaviours or the feeling of the muscle is either minimised or relieved even by the time I get to it. And that can be because sometimes what's an issue that seems in the back is actually neck. So the horse obviously has to carry a lot of weight on their neck, especially if they are travelling in poor posture. So sometimes when you relieve the neck and the shoulders, that actually helps the back to relax as well. Or the horse just starts to relax within the massage, and that has helped to itself to ease some of that pain in the back. So that's just a little tip. Sometimes the issue where you think it is might not be the original site of the pain, or the horse might start to relax throughout, and so it doesn't show as dramatic of a response once by the time we actually get to the back. Okay, so so basically when we're massaging the horse, we're allowing the horse to let itself go. So they're releasing the muscle spasms themselves. That's an important thing to remember with massage. When it's applied correctly, you're triggering the horse's ability to relax, let go, and start to heal those muscles. So as I mentioned before, the recurrent back pain is most often due to either incorrect riding or training. It can be poor posture or poor saddle fit. So often when I have a horse that is presenting with back pain, especially when it's recurrent back pain or it seems to be a chronic issue, I will often refer that person to see a qualified saddle fitter to make sure that the tack is fitting correctly, especially if it hasn't been done recently. Keeping in mind that horses may need a saddle fit as often as every 6 months if they're going through regular changes or growth or differences in work, that sort of thing. Horses can have a lot of variation in how their back is going. So another thing that I often recommend is that people do pole work. The pole work programs that I often recommend is just at a walk, trot spacing, up and back over the poles after they've had that massage if it's appropriate, and they do like reps of that for a period of time that I specify. Another thing that I specify is often carrot stretches. Again, there's a series of program how you can do that, and that has been clinically proven to strengthen the spinal muscles of the horse. So really deep core work, if done regularly, it can be really beneficial to horses who have chronic back pain. Also, sometimes I recommend people either seek or find a little bit more about some dressage training, so preferably classical dressage training in hand, which can then move on to ridden training, because a lot of that training is involved in making the horse more supple and gymnastic, and which benefits the horse, especially because the training is done off the horse. So it allows them to, mostly done off the horse, so it allows them to build up that strength to be ridden again. If a horse is experiencing chronic or recurrent back pain and they don't seem to be improving with conservative treatment or therapy such as massage, and it's persistent or severe, I will often recommend that they are seen by a vet for a second opinion. Sometimes back pain can actually be symptomatic of something more serious, so it's important to get a vet out when you've tried everything else. So yeah, they're just some tips that are important when you're thinking that your horse's back is sore. Like I said, a qualified massage therapist is a good place to start, but you're also looking at changes in workload, the saddle fit, and other things about the horse's posture that might be impacting how its back is feeling at the moment. Alright, so let me just have a look. Oh, we've got one person watching. How lovely. Hi. Oh, hoping you can hear me. I don't know, so let's just keep going. Alrighty. So, let's have a look at what we've got next. So, another question that I get, and it seems to be actually happening a bit lately, where people look on, I guess because everyone's at home online and they're looking around, or they they're seeing these things online that are like a massage gun or an actuator online, and I've had people either buy them or ask me, oh, you know, what do you think of those, or that sort of thing. So basically people saying, should I buy them to use on my horse, or if I have bought one, how do I use it? So yeah, I'm a little bit on the fence about these things being used by people who don't have the training to use them. So as a qualified massage therapist, my hands are my biggest asset to know when and how to relieve pain and to assess what's going on in the whole body and the health of each muscle. So that's really important. So sometimes that's why I'm hesitant to recommend those tools to relieve back pain or any other issues you might have, such as the actuator. You sometimes see them advertised every now and then on different sites. And often a qualified chiropractor may use one. I know I've had one used on me in a human chiropractic way, but yeah, you would hope that the person using it has the training to know how and when to use it, and when it's needed. So one of the main things that I have concerns about in terms of these tools is that, say for example a massage gun, it can elicit quite a bit of percussion over the area, and if you don't know what muscles in the horse are suitable for percussion and when and how and why to apply it, then you can actually cause some issues that you didn't mean to. So say for example if you were to use a massage gun over a bone or something like that, it could actually cause pain to the animal and cause more harm than good. So you do have to be quite careful when you do think, oh, it'd be a great idea. If you don't know what part of the horse you're using on and why, then sometimes I would prefer people don't use them unless they've been shown where is appropriate to use them. So some of my clients have asked me, and I've given them a bit of advice on where they can be used, but I'd be cautious in using them. What I often recommend people do instead, and my clients as well, is that I'll recommend that they start to use their hands and they start to do some effleurage and learn some massage techniques that are lower risk, to get a good feel for their horse and what the body is doing. And it's really great for bonding for you and your horse as well. So I often will show my clients how to do a few techniques themselves between massages that help the horse to relax and just increase bonding time, that are lower risk than using a tool or a technique that you're not trained to use. So that's my thoughts on that. There's also some different things that people might use, like massage pads or that sort of thing. Often they are specifically designed with the horse in mind, and they do generally come with tools and training for how to, or ideas for how to use those appropriately. So they're a little bit more appropriate in that way sometimes than the off-the-shelf massage gun would be. So I've seen some good results with a good quality massage pad that's designed for the horse and is used appropriately. So I just think in terms of gadgets, I would prefer that you contact your experienced and qualified body worker for your horse. That should be your first port of call before you go out and spend the money on the gadget that may do more harm than good. So yeah, that's it. Alright. Okay. So in the next couple of questions I'm going to go on to are to do with bits. So I just wanted to go over a few questions I get regularly about bits and bit fitting, because I'm a bit fitter as well as a myofunctional therapist. One of the common questions I get, especially with my younger clients or their parents, is that their horse or pony gets strong on the cross country or show jumping, and what bits do I recommend? So I often get these advice, if you meet someone or if I go to a pony club presentation, have a chat with the parents, often this is the case, is the pony or the horse can get a bit out of hand jumping, or they get a bit excited out in the cross country and become a bit out of control. So the first thing I tend to do with those sorts of questions is I recommend that they book in with an accredited bit fitter, either myself if you're in Gippsland or someone close by to you. This is because, so you could look at a bit online that says it's a jumping bit, and you might spend the money and then the horse doesn't like it, doesn't improve, or it may even make it worse. So you have to be careful with when you're buying bits to make sure it's the right one for your horse, and you have a good idea that that is what the horse wants. I've seen time and time again that the horse chooses the bit, and so that's why it's really good to have a range of bits to try with an accredited bit fitter, because sometimes the mouthpiece that the horse wants isn't anything like what you guessed it would want or need. So it's just a tip. That being said, there are a few factors that come into control when you're jumping, which I've found can help a lot of horses. So the questions I'd be asking you if we were just having a general chat about this out of control horse jumping would be, is the horse happy in the dressage phase? Is it completely content with its bit and very easily controlled in the dressage phase, and having no issues, I guess, with their bit? Is it only when they're jumping? Because that's something, if they work beautifully on the flat and they just get excited jumping because of the adrenaline, then that helps us to pinpoint what the issue is. If you're not sure if the horse could do better on the flat in their bit, or maybe needs a bit of help there, then it might be that the mouthpiece that the horse is wearing is part of the problem. And so then when you add the adrenaline to that, the horse is, showing a lot of signs that they're not happy with the actual mouthpiece of the bit. So when I look at, so in terms of the dressage side of things, if the horse is fussy, inconsistent, in terms of their tempo or their ability to be manoeuvred in the bit, then that would be signs that your bit overall might not be the best choice for the horse. If they're doing a lot of fussy behaviour, that sort of thing. And of course then when you get the energy and the speed of the jumping, it just makes things worse. So when horses fall into this category, often we do a bit fitting, and yeah, the mouthpiece may be the issue all along, and you would just assess first of all if the horse is then controllable in the mouthpiece it prefers, or if it needs just for the jumping. So if your horse has been fitted professionally, or you're 100% sure that it is fine with its dressage bit, or content, happy, but the issue is just with the jumping, then you may need to be looking at some other bitting options. So things like where they might have some leverage or some fixed cheeks to help gain that extra control. So I've just got a few examples here. So when we're talking about a non-fixed cheek, a loose ring bit, that would be this example here. So you've got the loose rings of the bit, and if you're riding in this for dressage, but then you're getting out of the cross country and you need to do a sudden turn, you don't have the same cheek piece as you do that assists you to turn quickly, because it's just loose and can move around, and that too because it's unstable as well. You don't have the same side of the face control that you do in a fixed cheek. Sorry. So a fixed cheek option. So especially if you have issues when it comes to turning, for example, or if your horse opens its mouth and uses that to avoid the bit. So a fixed cheek option might be something as simple as this miler bit. So it's got a D ring here, and so some people, for doing fast work, that's all they're going to need is just something with a bit of a fixed cheek. So which then gives you that side of the face pressure, similar to like a halter, that allows you a quick turn on your horse without too much miscommunication there, or delay in communication to get them to turn. So, and the benefit to a fixed cheek is it's a bit more stable than a loose ring. So your communication with the horse can be a bit more black and white, rather than a lot of noise coming through the loose ring, which again, if a horse is already hotted up with the jumping, having too much movement in their mouth could make them more agitated rather than less. So then if we start to look at leverage options, so that would be then again where you might start to be thinking would help you gain a bit of control. So in terms of leverage options, this Transangle Universal is being consistently one of the best options for a horse that truly is too strong for the rider jumping phase only. So you would ride in it on the snaffle ring most of the time, but then you may need to have 1 or 2 reins on this lower ring when you need to. So that's been quite a popular option, and has been one that has suited especially a lot of people where the riders just genuinely don't have the strength yet, especially kids, to be able to control their horse out on cross country, but they don't need leverage generally. The horse is schooled well on the flat in softer bit, so that's a good option. So another leverage option, this is what I ride in cross country. So and this just goes to show that you don't need a harsher mouthpiece to gain control jumping. I do dressage in this rubber trust innocence bit, and then when I'm out on the cross country, you've got the lever action just to help you with a bit more stopping power, and you've also got these great big circles that help with the side of the face turning. So it's a really great option, and yeah, I've not had any issues with being out of control in this. So it's not always the mouthpiece you need to look at, sometimes it's the actual side of the bit and how that affects the horse's level of control. So that's just a couple of ideas for you in terms of what you might look at for jumping. I suggest, again, first of all, that you get an accredited fitter out to help you, because like I said, they're just a couple of popular or good options that I've come across, but what your horse actually wants and needs might be different. If you can book a bit fitting, it's great to book it, and with some jumps available, so that we can really see what the behaviour is of the horse jumping as opposed to dressage. But yeah, it's a really great thing to do to make sure that your horse is in control, safe jumping, because often you find that once you get the level of control that you need, then your training really becomes more beneficial. And I think that's one of the main things that I notice with my work, is that when we get the right bit for that horse, everything starts to fall into place, often in terms of the horse's comfort level and their ability to be trained and to be consistent in their work. So it's really great. Yeah, so one thing to note as well when we're talking about jumping and bits and you're looking at different options is when you're adding leverage or you're adding a stronger mouthpiece option, is that when we're looking at bits and fitting, we're trying to start with the softest amount of pressure and the softest mouthpiece to start off with, so that we're using as little pressure as necessary to get the response that we want. So we wouldn't want to be adding pole pressure and therefore discomfort to the horse if we don't need to. So we're always trying to go back to that softest point to get the job done and to make sure the horse is happy in their job and safe though for the rider. Okay. So just had one more. Okay, so this other question I get a bit, especially at Pony Club, because I think it's a Pony Club question, or it's a Pony Club wives' tale, is the wrinkle rule. So some people have, grew up learning that you need to have 1/2 to 1 wrinkle at the corner of the mouth is basically dictating how high the bit should be fitting. Too many wrinkles means the bit is too high in the mouth, and not enough means the bit is too low in the mouth. So as far as I have gathered from my experience and training, is that this is a bit of an old wives' tale, because how many wrinkles the horse has doesn't necessarily equate to where the bit is sitting physically in the horse's mouth. So again, it's another reason to have an accredited bit fitter come and have a look at your horse and see what's going on in the physical characteristics of the horse's mouth and where the bit is fitting and should be fitting, to see that it's in the right height within the mouth. So that's why when we're doing our bit fittings, we're not only looking at the outside of the mouth and what's going on and how the horse is behaving, but we look at the inside of the mouth as well and what characteristics they have that might impact where the bit is sitting, but also the comfort level of the horse as well. So things like the tongue, the lips, the bars, which is the lower jaw of the mouth, and how those characteristics impact where the bit is sitting and comfortable for the horse. So generally speaking, and another really important thing to notice is with geldings, because they've got the canine teeth, is making sure that that's not impacting the bit, so they're not actually, the bit's not hitting those teeth. And that's quite a common thing that I see, is that the bit has been adjusted to look good from the outside, but on the inside of the mouth it's sitting in the wrong place and it's actually causing discomfort because it's hitting those teeth. So generally speaking, the bit's meant to sit midway between the canine teeth, or where they would be on a mare, and the molars. So that's sort of that space where it's comfortable for the horse. So it's important to have a look inside your horse's mouth yourself, have a look and see what's going on, and then you can get an idea to have a look at the mouth without a bit and with a bit, and to get an idea of where does that bit sit in the mouth, and is there anything in the way, is it effective, is it sitting too much on the tongue, that sort of thing, is it pinching their lips, all sorts of things that really impact the comfort level of the horse rather than just how it looks from the outside. So I hope that helps. Yeah, if you would go by that wrinkle rule hard and fast, you might end up with troubles, because some horses have more lips, less lips, different shaped mouths that affect how many wrinkles are shown on the outside. So, and the teeth as well, and the characteristics of those teeth can be really important to know where it can actually fit comfortably in the horse's mouth. So yeah, I encourage you to go and have a look inside your horse's mouth, and when you get the chance, do it safely. Make sure you've got a halter on, just gently peel back the lips and have a look. Have a look for things like how fleshy are the lips, or are they not? How big's the tongue? Is it spilling out over the teeth? Is it quite small and contained in there? You can have a look at the jaw and see how sharp that is, that sort of thing. So just be safe, but have a little peek and see what your horse's mouth looks like, because it might not look on the inside like you envision from the outside, and that can affect how the bit is fitting. So yeah, I really hope you could hear me, because that's all I've got for today. I'll do this again if there's some interest in them. I just thought I'd give it a crack. But yeah, definitely have lots of questions that my clients ask me, or you know, get queries coming in, or I see things popping up in the bitting and massage world that I think are important to discuss. So I would love to keep the conversation going. Yeah, well, hopefully see you again sometime. Thanks, everyone.